Manchester United against Sheffield United put in a strong series of performances, with many of their key individual players putting in a solid performance as well, with Anthony Martial specifically getting a hat trick, something that Manchester United hasn't seen until Robin van Persie years ago, but definitely a solid achievement from them. Now, looking specifically at some of their key players, Bruno Fernandes and Pogba were hyped up to do very well, and they were a lot of hope that the two would work well together and produce a solid presence in the midfield. And boy, did they really deliver. Paul Pogba was doing more of a holding role in the midfield as Bruno Fernandes pushed up further, and the two paired really well. And Pogba specifically was doing some good dribbles later in the game where he nutmegged a couple players and potentially could have done a chance that could have been a goal, but unfortunately it didn't turn out to be so for him. And Bruno Fernandes was putting in a couple of good tap-ins and passes to other Manchester United players, and definitely fueling and building up the attack. And ultimately, Manchester United did score 3-0, putting in a secure and solid performance. Now, looking at Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, I think that these two players are very, very important for Manchester United for the future. I think that these two could be very, very, very crucial for the team. Now, Bruno Fernandes, when he was brought in, really did change the team for the better. And I think bringing Bruno Fernandes in with Paul Pogba, I think could be a strong partnership. And a lot of people talk about Paul Pogba and how he did in the World Cup and for the French team. He has a lot of good players around him. And I think that Bruno Fernandes with Paul Pogba, and maybe if Manchester United spend in the transfer market, which they most likely should, it could lead to a strong and great development between the two, and a strong midfield presence like they just had in the Sheffield United game. Granted, Sheffield United was strongly weakened with a lot of their defensive players suspended and some of them out for injury, but still a good start for Manchester United in building a foundation for a strong midfield which they could potentially branch out of. And of course, with Anthony Martial, who, if he can put in those strong performances consistently and with that clinical finishing in front of the goal, then of course Manchester United could very well look like a very, very, very strong team in the future. With, of course, new signings coming in the transfer window for Manchester United.